everybody, and welcome to show 9 of 9, the Friday show from Radio Row, presented by Bet365 and Ace Hardware Home Services. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and visit AceHardwareHomeServices.com to get started on your next project. If you are watching, you will see Zach Berman to my left. You will see Jamie Lynch on the far side, and in the middle, fresh off the plane with, I would say, 3 minutes to spare, the professor himself, Deniz. Welcome to Knowledge.
You know what they say, if you're early, you're wasting time. So, yeah, just got here. Got a Go Birds from Hollis Thomas on the sidewalk.
Nice.
Was shocked to see how tall Greg Cosell is.
Okay.
And that's all I had time for. Other than that, good to see you guys.
Thank you for making the effort. Good to see you.
No, this is awesome. This is great.
Jamie, how you doing?
Doing all right. Looking forward to my flight this evening and giving my girls a big hug.
The level of enthusiasm about being on Radio Row right now, like 7,000% of it is right here. Like it's like extremely, like three guys who are sick of this.
That's not Zach Berman. Not Zach Berman.
Well, if you're watching, you will notice.
I'm like, oh my God, it's Dave Zangaro. Oh my God, it's Brian Westbrook. So I'm excited.
The people who have been watching all week, I think, will notice that Zach is looking a little fresher, a little fuller color in the cheeks today.
Yeah. You got a good night's sleep last night, didn't you?
You must have gotten at least 5 hours.
5.5 hours.
All right.
Let's give it up then.
No, you know what? I'm excited for the show, a little bit sentimental about I'm so excited for this week, and now our army of 30 plus is down to 2 after tonight.
Yeah.
But
just you and Bo.
Yeah, but just what we need, right? But you know what?
I'll be here, Zach, if you want to get away. Just text me.
But no, the reality is this has been so much fun being with everyone this week, and the coverage isn't finished, but this was a fun week.
It was.
All right, we have when you're in the Super Bowl, some of this stuff doesn't super matter, but we have a little bit of news on the Eagles front. Zach, give us the locker room report presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union.
Yeah, last night it was the NFL honors, and Saquon Barkley became the first player in Eagles history to win Offensive Player of the Year.
Pretty cool.
He did not win MVP, but he won Offensive Player of the Year. Zach Baun did not win Defensive Player of the Year. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell did not win Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Don't even get me started on that creep Jared Verse.
And then Vic Fangio did not win Assistant Coach of the Year. So the Eagles only had one player honor. But in terms of the prestigious Hall of Fame honor, Eric Allen, at long last, makes it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Very cool.
The first Eagle player to get in since Harold Carmichael in 2020.
Hello, Eric. Congratulations. You're going to the Hall of Fame.
They don't do that anymore. He's not the president anymore.
I'm aware.
He's very lucky it took them so long to let him in. Like, he doesn't have to go
he
through
asked.
that.
He didn't want to be in until David Baker was gone, lest he terrible sleep for the rest of his life.
And then the Eagles had their most intense day of practice of the week yesterday, and they will be back on the practice field today for one final time. It will be a lighter Friday session. Then tomorrow's the walkthrough, and Sunday, 5:30 local time, 6:30 back home, the Super Bowl.
Oof.
The Super Bowl. That'll do it for the Locker Room Report presented by TrueMark Financial. Jamie, how are your nerves? I know you're eager to get home. You got to do the pregame show and the halftime show and the postgame show on Sunday. But as an Eagles fan, how are your nerves this week?
Surprisingly calm. I feel an eerie level of confidence. I think the Eagles are the better team. More oftentimes than not, the better team wins the game. Screw Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Just because they've won before doesn't mean they'll win again. And I really like their chances. I'm not going into Sunday with any sort of nerves or feelings of ill will. So I'm looking forward to a parade. That's kind of where my mind's at.
Yeah, but Professor, if it's like snowing all week next week, can they do a parade?
I know. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, they might have to wait till Friday maybe for it to get dry. I'm not sure. I I will say, in terms of Jamie's confidence, that I am also very confident.
Yes.
I was pretty confident 2 years ago, but I had in the back of my mind that Eagles team had a very clear weakness. And
Sure.
that was, of course,
James
Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah.
And this time, I think you could not ask for a bigger upgrade. Oh, fantastic. You cannot ask for a bigger upgrade from that defense to this one. And I don't have that fear that I had on either side of the ball this time. And Nick Sirianni told the team before the NFC Championship game, it was on the unscripted thing, that they should feel confident. And the way that he said it, I thought was perfect. It was like, he kind of was saying, like, you guys are the better team. You should know that. That's how you should play. And I think that he should be able to say the exact same thing tomorrow night. I think he should be just as confident that this Eagles team is better than this Chiefs team. Everyone's seen Mahomes win a bunch of coin flip games, both this season and in past playoffs. And the best way to avoid another one of those is steal the coin early and don't give it back. Don't let it come down to a coin flip. And there's no reason that this game should.
Steal the coin.
Steal the coin.
What
I
if
don't know.
Brandon
Just don't know.
Graham
I
gets
just gotta-
activated, comes out for the coin toss, picks
Literally
it off
steal
midair,
the coin,
and
yeah.
runs away? Not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this, Professor. As someone who consumes as much Eagles content as anybody I know, how has this week been for you?
Yeah.
Have you been overloaded? We're trying to figure out like the YouTube algorithm this week.
Yeah.
Have you just been overloaded with Eagles content?
It's hard. I always have a list every week of things that I want to do and things that I want to consume going into both doing the show and also for the game on Sunday. And Super Bowl week, it's a little bit longer. Now, the week before helps a lot. I did most of my film watching and charting and X's and O's type stuff. Then I was pretty much ready, by last Friday's preview show for the game. So that made it a little easier. And then a lot of times 2 this week, like times 2, times 1.7, 1.8, depending on what it is.
Oh, wow.
For both this show and, a couple of other things.
Sure.
What speed
What's
do
the
Zach and Bo
The
get?
Chiefs' media availability, which I just have to put myself through just to build
Sure.
up my hatred of Juju Smith-Schuster or whatever.
Number 5 always love you.
I was doing that on times 2, and it was still incredibly boring. But, yeah.
What's the best piece of Eagles content you consume
Yeah, I was
this
about
week?
to ask that.
I think it was the reunion show with you guys, Sheil and Marissa. That was awesome.
I appreciate that.
That was great.
Zach,
Now, I
what do you think it
personally
was?
like Fran better than Dane Brugler, but, it's just...
Best piece, honestly.
The Game Ball, presented by Xfinity Mobile, is proudly brought to you by our friends at Xfinity Mobile. Join the millions who have switched to one of the fastest-growing mobile services. I'm going to award the Game Ball to Julia.
Yes.
What a week it's been for
Really
Julia.
good. Yeah. Yeah, she's been outstanding.
I was going to say Fran as a joke, and then I thought, well, why don't we actually be sincere and let's give it to Julia for all the hard work that she's been doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, I know we're tight on time today, but I would like to say the viewers, the listeners don't know how much goes into doing not just any show, but a remote show. When we have people coming in and out, we're playing clips on the show. We added extra shows. Bo and I we're just here talking, right? Julia and Jamie as well. We're just here talking.
Right.
Julia's
on
doing,
the record, I'm not doing any work.
Yeah, no, didn't say that. No, Julia has been an all-star since she started, but especially this week.
Let's
We're
get a
all
little thumbs
grateful.
up in the chat for Julia.
Yeah.
Give it up for Julia.
You're only as good as
Julia.
your producers, so we appreciate it.
Julia.
Julia is literally tearing up. This is awesome.
You're not the first person to cry on the show. Don't worry.
Happy
Okay.
tears, though, maybe the first one.
I cry laughing all the time.
I cry. What did I get myself into? No, I'm kidding.
Mom and Dad have had a
Oh my
long
goodness.
week
Yeah,
together.
my goodness.
You know what? They told us because we were hoping to have Greg Rosenthal and Jordan Rodriguez join us towards the end of the show. And so they said, okay, why don't we put the 2 people who are going to go off when they come on the end so they can slide in. But that has meant that Zach and I are next to each other.
Yeah.
And ooh.
My parents,
Not necessarily the best recipe.
my parents got divorced, but it's been like 40 years since I've been through this. So.
All right. Deniz, we got you one time. Let's bang through this. What are the things
do it.
that we have not yet talked about that you think are worth bringing to attention for our fans?
I've got stuff that I'm going to be watching for early on
'Kay.
on each side of the ball.
Okay.
Which side should I start with?
Let's do Eagles offense.
Eagles ball. All right. The first thing, how is Spags aligning against the run? Where are the safeties? In particular, where's number 20, Justin Reed? He's the chess piece who is going to either be in the box or not in the box typically. You're going to see Brian Cook typically away from the line of scrimmage, but Justin Reed could be close. He might not be close. What kinds of runs will the Eagles run based on that alignment? Looking back at the 2023 game in Week 11, the 3 biggest Eagles runs were all outside runs. There was a same-side pin-pull run to the outside. These were all DeAndre Swift. There was an outside zone lead run with the tight end lead blocking, also to get to the outside. And then there was a jet sweep to DeAndre Swift, which kind of changed the game in the third quarter. Those were all outside runs in part because they were kind of, stacking the box in that game.
Okay.
That was, of course, without Saquon Barkley in the game. So that's the first thing I'm going to be looking for.
What do you expect to see from Eric Reed in those situations? I'm kind of expecting them to stay too high for the most part so they don't get beat by the big run.
That's the thing we talked about last Friday, and I kind of agree. I think he's going to try to bait the Eagles into those 3-yard, 4-yard, and possibly negative yard runs just because some runs end up, someone misses a block up front.
Which is why you hate them so much, yeah, of course.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and the question is going to be, are the Eagles going to kind of fall for that bait? Are they just going to run through that anyway? That's going to be the question. But I don't think they're going to stack the box to the extreme that the Rams did and the Commanders did. I mean, they were just like, from the stands, you could just see it. I mean, like the safety was in the box, the nickel was down. I mean, it was single high. Let's stop the run all the way, and we saw that led to some big runs.
In terms of the aesthetics of the game that you would like to see ideally, who would you want to be the Super Bowl MVP?
Good question, Bo.
Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I saw him have an incredible Super Bowl 2 years ago, and the reason I say Jalen Hurts and not another player is because
we know why you don't want it to be Saquon Barkley.
Well, no, I mean, I would be fine if it's Saquon Barkley, and in fact, if it's a completely dominant performance where the defense shuts him out and everything, it probably would be Saquon Barkley. So maybe that would be better. But I think Jalen Hurts being the MVP would mean that he got a bunch of different people involved, that he was able to hit AJ when they play man, that he was able to hit Dallas and Devontae when they play zone, and had the kind of game.
Brought
his
legs as an impact.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Jamie? If you could.
I kind of think Saquon getting the Super Bowl MVP would be the perfect cherry on top of just a magnificent
season. But if you go Quinyon, he gets 2 pick sixes, something like that.
Oh, then, I mean, that's just erotic.
Then the parade's not going to be on Broad Street. It's going to be to your house. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, that would be very cool. Highly unlikely a defensive player gets it.
Jalen Carter, that would be
Who was the guy from was it Larry Brown who got it? Yes. Neil O'Donnell just threw him the ball 3 times and they gave it to him.
And then the Raiders gave him a big contract based off that
That's
game.
right.
That's wild,
That's right.
And then who was the linebacker? The Seahawks.
Malcolm Smith.
Malcolm Smith.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I covered that Super Bowl.
I was working that Super Bowl as well.
New Jersey one, right?
Yeah, Meadowlands.
Yeah.
Zach, how about you? I know you're not rooting for a team, but in terms of the style of the game, who would be the most fun? Please don't step on that. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So what would be the best for the Eagles would be, I think, if Jalen Hurts wins it, it means that the offense is prolific. I think,
right? It means we don't have to have a Jalen Hurts conversation all offseason.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
But I think if the Eagles win the game, I think Saquon Barkley is the most likely to win it, and then I think Devonta Smith is the wild card to watch.
Ooh, he owns the Chiefs. Was it 320 yards in 3 games?
Is that right? Okay,
it's possible.
All right, number 2 thing that you're watching.
Number 2, where are the cornerbacks lining up, and are they getting help? So Trent McDuffie was the nickel back last year in nickel situations last year and the year before. Since they've lost Snead, he is now playing exclusively as an outside corner. That takes away some of his ability to blitz. He's only blitzed 1 time in these playoffs. It was a very famous time, that 4th down at the end of the game. But that's the only blitz he's had on 76 passing downs in these playoffs. He's not their main blitzer anymore. And then the question becomes, if he's on the outside, are they going to match him up against AJ or against Devontae, or are they going to play sides? What are they going to do? It's been really hard for me to decipher, watching their last 3 or 4 games, what is dictating who lines up where in terms of the corners. They were platooning at the opposite corner. I'm not sure if Jalen Watson is still somewhat hurt, but they're platooning him with Najee Johnson, who, by the way, Najee Johnson, when he's out there, if the Eagles can design runs that get Saquon to his area, he is not bringing down Saquon Barkley. He's had trouble tackling in the run game in the time that he's been playing. That thing's going to the house if it's Saquon and
what a call.
and Najee Johnson.
You got to clip that and be ready to go if if Saquon has one of those.
The A.J. Brown 45-yard touchdown in the Super Bowl 2 years ago,
Yes.
that was against
Double
McDuffie.
coverage.
That
Okay.
was base, and he was playing on the outside and base. And it was McDuffie who was on A.J., and then Thornhill was the other guy. Of course, they don't have Thornhill playing either. So that's the next one. Are they going to try to match? And honestly,
Okay.
whoever isn't being covered by Trent McDuffie, that's going to be a mismatch.
Sure.
So
Sure. Okay. How about number 3?
Number 3, Nick Bolton. Number
Yeah, good player.
32. He had a fumble recovery for a touchdown in the last Super Bowl. He almost had 2. They called Miles
Right.
Sanders'
Nick Bolton, not
half
to be
fumble.
confused with Boltund, the Pokemon.
So he is a
Good Pokemon knowledge.
Yeah.
he's a blitzer. He's blitzed 10 times in the playoffs. He's also a chess piece to bluff pressure. That infamous 3rd and 3 that we talked about last week, where Kelsey got the protection wrong and Willie Gay rushed off the edge.
Much out, Zach.
When the Eagles are not going no huddle, which is most of the time, they snap the ball very late in the play clock, more than any other team in the NFL. And that's something that we discussed at length in October when the players were making a big deal about it. Lane Johnson in the media availability yesterday talked about how Kansas City likes to shift late or adjust the defensive call to make the protection call wrong. It'll be interesting to see if that's something that the Eagles get caught on. I mean, Jason Kelsey was really good at that, and he got caught on it last 2
Right.
years ago. Now it's Cam Jurgens and Jalen Hurts doing that. That's going to be something that I'll be watching for. Where's Nick Bolton, and are they kind of keying him on the protection call, and then when he drops out, does that bring somebody off the edge, in particular opposite of Chris Jones, which is the way that they normally
What's
are
your
going to
level
blitz.
of confidence in their ability to decipher those things correctly?
My guess, based on the number of zero blitzes that Spags sends, he sent about 5 in each of the last 2 games, that there will be 1 or 2 times that there is going to be an unblocked guy, and that's where the one thing that I think Ellen Moore has done like unambiguously well, find more answers in those types of situations, whether it's with his legs or with just a hot route. That's going to be key. There were only 2 sacks in the entire Super Bowl last time, and they were both
Right.
Jalen Hurts running out of bounds
Yes.
against zone without a blitz. So it's not like he was getting sacked, but there were those where he was running around like crazy. On some of them, he found Zach Pascal for one. I mean, he
Right.
made a few really heroic plays in that game. And looking back, the one thing about that game that makes me a little bit less confident is that by no means was Spags out-schemed or anything. Like, it was a lot of Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts Superman
Tight window
plays.
throw, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your expectations for blocking Chris Jones?
Well, I think that you can't really have a plan for blocking somebody who lines up somewhere
Yeah.
different every single snap. I mean, it's been crazy how diverse where he's lining up was. I charted just their third downs from the last 2 playoff games, and it's like almost an equal number of snaps
All
on
4
every
spots?
part of the defensive
Wow.
line. Exactly. Not only all 4 spots, but also like how wide he is, or, you know, are they setting it up for a stunt for him? And a lot of times the blitzes do come opposite him because they're used to people sliding over to him. Now, I think the Eagles' offensive line is better than any of the offensive lines they've played, and so hopefully some of those one-on-ones they're going to have to do. Now, will they line him up over Mekhi Becton and say this is a mismatch?
Right.
Are they going to line him up more to the Eagles' left so they can blitz from the right the way that they've done more against Jalen, because Spags, I guess, for whatever reason, seems to think that Jalen is more bothered when he can see the blitz. So that'll be an interesting thing
In
to
which case,
see as well.
he would he'd be up against Mailata, and not that, because as Fran was explaining yesterday, I think it does make sense for them to have him over a tackle a little bit more so that they can't just double team him.
Well, the Mailata thing is interesting because the Eagles don't, as Fran was mentioning on the show yesterday, the Eagles rarely help the tackles, right? So
Yeah.
I think if you're talking about a slide towards Jones, that's going to be more when he's lined up inside. So if he's lined up over Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens slides to him, then the blitz could come from the other side. I don't think you want to use Jones as a piece like that, to set up the blitz if he's on the outside. I mean, they
Right.
still might do that,
Okay.
but there it would just be because Jones feels like I don't know. It seems like Jones just stands wherever he wants, like lines up wherever he wants, and then they have very versatile other players on that line. Omenihu in particular, he'll line up as a nose on pass rush downs, and then he'll line up as an edge on early downs. They need to have those versatile guys because wherever Chris Jones isn't lining up, those guys have to be able to fill in. So Mike Dana, Omenihu, those guys line up all over the place. Karlaftis is the one guy who's basically always going to line up over Lane. Everybody else is kind of just all over.
Super chat, Zach from Chase Daniel Plainview, who says, Travis Kelce is dating an evil wealth hoarder who pollutes the air more than David Baker's farts. Do you consider him a class traitor?
Ooh, hard-hitting question.
I mean, I think if he and Taylor Swift are in love, then let them love. Live in love, right?
Amen, brother.
Yeah, love who you love.
Did you see the meme going around of Taylor Swift's legs?
No.
She's got Saquon-esque thighs, and she's like jacked up. Her legs are huge. And the meme says, "What's Taylor working out for?" And it says, "Well, somebody's got to stop Saquon on Sunday." It's gone viral. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a little bit worried the way that started, but it was okay.
I'm still worried that it's not over.
I'll have to pull it up. Very muscular legs from Taylor.
Let's take a break and hear from our sponsors. On the other side, we're going to flip sides to the Eagles' defense against the Chiefs' offense. We might even hear briefly from Brian Westbrook. Ace Hardware Home Services. If you've got a leaky pipe at Ace Hardware Home Services, they are around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the person to do the fixing. If you've got an air conditioning issue, they got a person for that. If you've got a faucet you said you would fix last fall, they've got a person for that too, because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks, they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. At Ace Hardware Home Services, we're bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project.
And our friends over at Bet365 will show you why it's never ordinary at Bet365. When you sign up for new users, use promo code PHLY365, and whatever the moment, you'll find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. There's over 90 million worldwide users, and they stream over 780,000 events every single year. And they have the best early payout offers across NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball, and they offer the widest range of markets available for live in-game betting across 78 different sports. They have NBA tip-off Tuesdays, so keep your eyes peeled for those offers on Tuesdays. They have same-game parlay Sundays. There's only one big game left, so make sure you're checking it out. And keep your eyes peeled for the custom PHLY odds boosts. So right now, win or lose, when you sign up, you can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Win or lose, use that code PHLY365. Deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win or lose. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, total, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
We were walking around Radio Row earlier. Jamie spotted an old friend. We said, hey, Brian Westbrook, you want to talk very quickly about Saquon Barkley? And since we know that Deniz is not going to give the guy his flowers, we found somebody who would. Let's hear now from Brian Westbrook.
West.
All right, we are here with Eagles legend Brian Westbrook. Brian, how are you feeling about the game on Sunday?
Well, I'm super excited. I think everyone in Philadelphia, of course, is super excited. And all the former players that I've seen and run into over the last few weeks are excited that the Eagles are here again. And so it's going to be a great weekend.
What are your expectations and what's your perspective on the season that Saquon has had?
Well, I think Saquon has been special. He's as good as advertised. I would probably say better than advertised. He's just done a great job of being a great teammate. Obviously, he's a great player. We can see that by his play on the field. But he's provided something that has made guys like A.J. Brown, great player. Guys like Devonta Smith, great player. Guys like Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert, really good players. He's made those guys almost not mentioned. That's how good Saquon has been. And so it's just a great year. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the team. I think Sunday will be a good day for them.
Nick Sirianni likes to say, you can't be great without the greatness of others. And I feel like the offense is a good example of that. Obviously, Saquon, surrounded by everything he is, has helped him have this season. If you could go back in time and have like one part of Saquon's game added to yours, what would it be?
He has so many good parts. I mean, I want all of his game. I mean, you know, when I look at Saquon, I look at he has speed. He has long speed, right? So he can run away from people. He has quickness, make people miss in the hole. He's explosive. He can catch the ball. I mean, he does so many things well. It's just hard to pick one thing. I think the long speed probably is what I would pick, but I mean, he's special in every category.
Now, on the other side is Andy Reid, obviously, and you know him very well.
Yep.
What is it about Andy that with extra time to prepare makes him so dangerous?
Well, he could diagnose defenses and offenses and see what your tendencies are and then capitalize on those things. He's just done a great job of that over the course of his 30-year-plus career. And so we have to be worried about our tendencies, the things that we do all the time. But at some point, you know, if you're this team, you say, we're going to line up and they're going to have to stop us. And I think that's what's going to have to happen if we want to be successful.
Here's the one thing I'd like to see a little more of from Saquon, and this is really more of an offensive thing than Saquon, and this is a Brian Westbrook thing. I would like to see him a little bit more involved in the passing game. I feel like they have underutilized that a little bit. Maybe on Sunday that's something that could be a difference maker.
Well, he has the ability, but you also have, you know, all-pro, A.J. Brown, great player, Devonta Smith. You know, you have so many other options in the pass game, so I certainly understand that. But I love the way he runs the ball, and I think he'll continue to do that. And we'll see, maybe in the next couple of years, if he'll get involved more in the pass game.
You want to go on the record with a prediction?
Yeah, I think Eagles win, 35-30.
All right, Brian Westbrook, you heard it here first. All right, thank you to Brian Westbrook for taking a couple minutes to talk Saquon. A couple super chats. Grace Min, Jamie appreciation post. Every friend group has a Jamie.
Oh, thank you, Grace.
That is true.
Yeah, let's give it up for Jamie.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Grace.
Jamie.
It's because, you know, it's like hanging out with the boss, right? He's a suit now.
Yeah, I know. You got to be on appeasing cues.
Exactly.
It's a little bit awkward.
Yeah, seriously.
And then IBEM every day says, professors, if a student don't fall asleep, keep in your class, what do you do?
Don't fall asleep.
I think they meant do.
Okay.
Does
What would you do
fall
if a kid falls asleep in your class?
Oh, they don't fall asleep. I mean, you know, keep things high energy. Yeah.
Right.
If you go to Wharton,
Yeah.
you're motivated.
I don't know.
I
about-
actually don't think that that's necessarily true at all. Like, what's the percentage of people in Wharton, Deniz, who just don't show up to class?
That's actually surprisingly low.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's only,
There's actually a surprising difference between Wharton and non-Wharton Penn in that regard.
Okay.
Yeah, Wharton attendance is somewhat surprisingly high, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
More super chats. Conan, shout out to all the PHLY sports crew for such a tremendous week of content.
Thank you.
Absolutely killed it. Thank you very much, Conan. Rob
And
says,
it will be better next year. I promise you that.
don't make a promise you can't keep.
God forbid I say we'll be better next year.
You promise that we'll try to be better, but you don't know that we will be better.
We'll try to be better next year. If you prefer
That's a
that.
promise you can keep.
Okay.
Rob says, if Spags deploys too high safety to defend Saquon, how does that impact their usage of play action?
Real quick, that's Rob's 20th super chat. So
Wow.
big shout out to Rob. Thank you. Gives you a little number up there.
I think that makes play action even more valuable. If you can suck the linebackers in towards the line of scrimmage on play action and the safeties are high, that should leave space in between for for whatever it is. Both play action and RPOs are more likely to work better when it's too high, I think.
Mike says, when you think about what will give you the most confidence, what does an ideal Eagles offensive drive look like? Hi to Deniz from Emily and Mustafa.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's Emily's brother, right? Emily Arouz is a good friend of ours from Turkey.
All
and,
right.
and that's her brother. I totally spaced that on the question, though. What was the question?
Like,
What's an ideal offensive drive?
What's an ideal Eagles offensive drive? I mean, to me, it's a
touchdown
pass on the first play of the
Yeah.
round. But
Yeah,
or
no, that's
Saquon
right.
running one for 65 yards
That's
and
right.
a touchdown.
I don't think this is the kind of game where you're worried about, like, is it going to be a lot of drives or not a lot of drives?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I've never bought into the, like, keep them off the field or whatever. I've never even understood what that means. Like, it's not winners. Like, you don't get the ball back when you score. Like,
Right.
they're going to have the same number of possessions as you. So
Well, it's like, you know, there was the opening drive of the Commanders game, the NFC Championship. It's 19 players or whatever, and then you see you
Yeah,
get the
and then
mic'd
the-
up of Slay on the sideline being like, "God damn, he scored too fast. We got to go back out there." But
Yeah.
like then they force a turnover right after that. So like,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. So the argument for limiting the drives, and I hear what you're saying. You do
I
get
know
the
that
same.
this is tough, Zach, but you gotta. Thank you.
What am I? It's
I'm sorry, but you're pulling me over. It's okay. It's hard.
okay. The argument you hear when you face prolific quarterbacks or prolific offenses, and I know because Nick Sirianni said Washington did this to the Eagles back in 2022 when the Eagles lost, is if you limit the drives, then you create more variability for, if the good offense goes 3 and out or there's a turnover there, it just changes the math of the game.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
think
the argument
just
for it.
statistically, it's like the difference is usually does each team get 12 drives or does each team get 10 drives? You know what I mean? Like very rarely does it go below that. Sometimes it'll be 8 or 9, but it's not like you're changing. It's not like UVA basketball where they bleed the clock so much
That's
that
true.
it's actually a significant difference. So I don't know. I think that variance difference is negligible.
But I do think explosives are going to matter in this game, and so I'm with Bo and Jamie that the ideal drive is the first drive of the last game is getting the big explosive play is critical in this game.
Zach Ragu has been disquietingly silent this week. Haven't heard from him, but we do have a super chat from Shark Gallery who says, great work on the coverage this week and all season. Are there any limitations on Juergens and Dickerson going into Sunday?
Yeah, good question. No, they were full participants in practice. They've both expressed optimism they're going to play. Clearly, they're playing through something, right? These aren't like A.J. Brown declared himself completely healthy. I don't think Cam Juergens or Landon Dickerson would declare themselves completely healthy, but I don't think these are players who are like there's risk in you don't know how they're going to play or you don't know how they're going to perform. They might be in pain after the game and during the game, but I think you'll get the full Landon Dickerson and Cam Juergens experience.
And Matt Dio has another super chat to say thank you for the great coverage. Thank you very much,
Thank
Matt
you.
Dio.
That really
All
does mean a lot. We're working hard.
Deniz, let's bang through some of the other things that you're looking for. You got one more
just
on offense.
One more on offense. In terms of how the Eagles have dealt with the Spags pressure looks, I keep going back to when you look at those last 2 games, there was a 3rd and 5 from the Chiefs' 10, and Spags sent a 0 blitz against an empty from the Eagles, and the Eagles ran a quarterback counter run for a touchdown in that game. And that's the kind of thing that discourages those kinds of blitzes, of course, right? So it wasn't even just a normal draw. It was a counter. It was designed, and it fit their blitz perfectly. That's something that I would definitely be looking for from the Eagles when they're in empty. It could definitely be quarterback run. That's obviously one of the advantages when you have a quarterback who can run, is that empty doesn't mean you're definitely going to pass the ball. Eagles haven't been a huge empty team this year, but when they have gone empty, they've been pretty good. And so I would think that some of that will come back. The other thing is there was a middle screen in that game that went for 20 yards. And in the last Super Bowl, the Eagles set up 2 perfect screens to Dallas Goedert. He slipped on both of them. Yeah. The film shows that one of them would have been probably a touchdown. The other one would have been a huge gain as well. On one of them, he slipped before he caught the ball. On the other one, he slipped right after he caught the ball. I think that's something that they had going into that game plan then, and I'm sure it's in the game plan again this year. So I would look for screens and design quarterback runs from the Eagles at a higher rate than we've seen during the regular
good
season.
thing is the sod father will be nowhere near the Superdome.
Right.
That rat
don't
can
know that.
stay away.
Also, Vic Fangio, this was pointed out by John Clark, and I spoke to Fangio about this yesterday, has pointed out the Eagles have been
turf?
outstanding this year on turf.
Oh, they're averaging 11 points per game.
Yeah.
The next closest team in the NFL is 18 on turf.
In terms of allowing it. So
And you got to think the exciting whites and the secondary and the athleticism has a lot to do with that.
All right. All right, as we flip sides to the Eagles' defense, this is going to be our big takeaways presented by Con Murphy's,
Ooh,
the
this is
Irish
new.
pub
I like this.
in Center City. The big takeaways. All right, what are we looking to take away as we're watching this game from the Eagles' defensive perspective?
Yeah, we talked about some of this stuff last week, and you guys have talked about it this week with Fran as well. This Chiefs offense has played less and less 11 personnel every year. It was like 70% or something like that in 21, down to 60, and now they're below 50%. They line up in 12 or 13 personnel on a wildly high 45% of their snaps, which is crazy. It's the most of any team in the league, and they're only 11 personnel on 38% of first down. So we talked about how Fangio has matched this with nickel, keeping Cooper DeJean on the field. And so the question is, I'm not too worried about them running the ball. When they throw the ball out of those heavy looks, who is going to be responsible for Travis Kelce is the biggest question I have. I'm not worried about anything on the outside, but who's going to be responsible for Kelce? The way that the Eagles have done this for most of the season is they'll have one of the safeties rotate down. That safety is typically Reed Blankenship. If it's man coverage, they'll typically have CJ DJ on the tight end. Now, last week against Washington, for whatever reason, Reed Blankenship was that guy who was in coverage on Zach Ertz most of the game. He didn't have a great game in man coverage. I don't think he's as good a man coverage safety as CJ GJ, who used to be one of the best nickelbacks in the league. I would anticipate that it is not going to be Reed Blankenship on Travis Kelce a whole lot in this game. I think CJ GJ will be down in the box more than he normally is, and I also think that if they can get it set up that way, they'll try to have Cooper DeJean be responsible for Kelce when there are only 2 wide receivers on the field. I do think the Chiefs will often have both tight ends on the same side, both wide receivers on the other side, and that kind of takes DeJean off of Kelce, as we discussed a little bit.
Yeah, do you think, well, as you have said, Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell have not taken a single snap all year long on the other side of the field?
No.
I don't imagine we're going to see that now.
I mean, and by that, what I mean is Darius Slay has not taken a single snap like to the right of the hash marks, and Quinyon Mitchell has not taken a single one to the left of them. Obviously, that means they've never been on the same side, right? They never go over with the wide receivers. A lot of teams do that. Fangio just doesn't. And so, no, I don't think they're suddenly going to be changing the thing that made them the best defense in the league.
Probably a good tactic.
Yeah. Now, Kansas City will try to exploit the flats. That's a big part of their game anyway. They don't throw the ball deep. Mahomes has completed 1 ball of 20 air yards or more since week 13. And that was that jump ball to Xavier Worthy last week that should have been intercepted. He's 1 for his last 21 throwing deep. I don't think he's suddenly going to get good throwing deep against this defense, which has been the best in the league at preventing those deep passes. Yeah. And so they are going to try to exploit the flats with RPOs, slant flat, curl flat, wheel. They looked like the Dolphins last week running a bunch of those Dolphins-style RPOs. They're going to run a lot of screens as well. Now, the Eagles have been one of the best defenses against screens this year. They've only allowed a 33% success rate against screens. A lot of the things the Chiefs do, as you guys were talking about yesterday, is exactly the stuff that the Eagles typically want the other offense to do because they're good at stopping that and good at limiting it. Xavier Worthy, didn't he break the record for like the fastest 40 or whatever? I mean, they're using him like a motion gadget player right now. He's not running deep routes. He's catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage. 30% of Mahomes' passes are thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Like the target is behind the line of scrimmage. And so this is going to be a huge game of focusing on the flats, maybe a little bit more than Fangio normally does. He normally doesn't prioritize the flats, and also tackling when they catch the ball in that area. And also, the running backs rarely stay in to block for the Chiefs.
Interesting.
They are second in the league at having all 5 players out in the route. And so those running backs, even when it's Pirine who plays on third down, Pirine's played on almost every third down pass play in the playoffs. He's stayed in to block 1 time on 17 of those plays. So he's going to run a route. They're going to try to isolate him or somebody else on Oren Burks and pick on him in the flats. Andy, Andy's looking at this defense and saying, if I can get Oren Burks in the flat in cover 4 where he's responsible for a third of the field, that's going to be a mismatch for me. And so I would say that Fangio will play less cover 4 in this game. He'll have more defenders. He doesn't need 4 deep defenders like Gannon had in the Super Bowl last time where they were just completing under that. I think the Eagles defense in general will be closer to the line of scrimmage, and I think there will be a safety rotating down more often than not.
Some super chats from Mike, who says, y'all have made this week great for a Philly guy living in Oregon. Go Birds and go Nolan Smith at 200-1 MVP odds.
That's my buddy Mike in Bend, Oregon. So thank you, Mike.
Nice.
I think Jawan Taylor, who Nolan Smith is going to be up against, is definitely a weakness on that line. He's
I like those odds.
Very awkward player. I mean, like he's like he tries to set up like kind of like Lane Johnson, in that he tries to set up.
Yeah,
fast.
This is one where like before the game, Sirianni's going to be on the refs, like, hey, watch for this, and if you see it called early, it means that he did a good job.
Right, that, but also like just where he starts. I mean, the helmet of the right tackle is supposed to be aligned with the belt of the center. This guy lines up like in the stands, like absolutely illegal on almost every snap. Now, some have argued that Lane Johnson false starts on every snap as well, so I'm not saying they have to call it every time, but that is something that could make him susceptible to moves inside, to stunts. I think that is going to be a weakness, and one reason to line Jalen Carter up in his normal place is that if, similar to the way Gerald McCoy told you guys that the right guard for the Rams was overcompensating for the right tackle because Nolan Smith was beating him so much that he forgot about Jalen Carter, which is very funny. It's exactly what he did. That's one thing, that Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter being together on the same side could maybe be more effective than trying to get the mismatch with Caliendo on the other side and doing something that you haven't done all year.
I be me every day says, "Are you sleepy, ZB?" And you're not sleepy. You got all kinds of sleep last
The new
night.
man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I shouldn't be. It doesn't matter.
It's a super chat.
Yeah, I appreciate the super chat. It doesn't matter. What matters is I got to bring it every show and every article.
It does matter.
But no, my big takeaway. Can I just add real quick for
Yeah,
the big
please, go
takeaway?
ahead.
Yeah, the takeaways are going to be the key here, and and the giveaways in the sense that.
Oh, the big takeaway is the takeaway.
Yeah, because look, I'm not defending Jonathan Gannon. I'm not going there, but in that Super
I'm
Bowl
so
2
glad
year-
we got this
yeah.
opportunity to talk about Jonathan Gannon
in that
again,
Super
by the
Bowl,
way.
no, in that Super Bowl
It's
2
been
years
great
ago,
these last 2 weeks.
in that Super Bowl 2 years ago, a big key was the Eagles were up 14-7 and driving, and Jalen Hurts fumbles. It gets returned all the way. The Eagles were in the red in turnovers. They've been the major difference since the bye has been not turning the ball over and taking the ball away. And Patrick Mahomes has been outstanding in not giving the ball away. So if the defense can get a takeaway in this game, that's going to be critical for their success.
I will say this about that fumble. On the very next drive, Jalen Hurts led the team down the field and scored a touchdown and made up for that lost fumble. If that had just been a 3-and-out and punt, no one would be talking about it. So the base rate of that game was the offense was playing great, and Jonathan Gannon did not have that high a threshold to reach to win. So
All right. We're gonna take a quick,
It's very
go ahead.
astute, Professor.
We're going to take a quick break, go to our ads, bring in Greg and Jordan, and we'll be back right after this. Yes, go ahead. Tell you about Rothman Orthopedics, our friends at Rothman Orthopedics. If your joints are aching or your hands are cramping or your back is out of whack, Rothman's got you. At Rothman Orthopedics, practicing specialized care has been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission is a high-quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research. Rothman's over 200 fellowship-trained physicians subspecialize in specific areas of the body and a multitude of orthopedic services, including hip, knee, spine, shoulder and elbow, foot and ankle, hand and wrist, sports medicine, physical medicine and rehab, orthopedic oncology, and trauma and fracture care. Rothman Orthopedics specialized in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
I always enjoy talking about TrueMark Financial Credit Union, headquartered in Fort Washington, where Julia went to high school. If you are looking for if the credit card balance you have is weighing you down, think about this. What if you could pay it off faster and with zero interest until 2026? It's true because TrueMark is offering zero interest on balance transfers for 12 months, so all your payments can go toward reducing your balance, not just covering your interest. Hurry, you have to apply by February 28th, 2025. Whether you're interested in rewards, cash back, or simply prefer a low rate for everyday purchases, TrueMark Financial at TrueMark Financial, you choose the credit card that's best for your financial needs. Visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans are subject to approval. 3% balance transfer fee applies. Standard rates apply after the promotional rate.
All right. I think it's a nice way to close out the week
Seriously.
of Radio Row. You know, there have been like people coming on. There was one interview I didn't even know who the person was when they brought him to me. Figured it out midway through. Like, you want to interview Jason Worth? Sure, that's fine. But it's nice to have people we know.
And respect, yeah.
Jordan Rodriguez and Greg Rosenthal, I would say the co-stars of the NFL Daily Podcast. How you guys doing?
Hi, it's nice to see you guys.
It
Two of
is
my favorite
so
people on the
amazing to
planet.
listen to you guys do a live read live. Best live reads of the game. I have no idea why Zach has 3.5 font.
Okay, I was going to
for
say
his
that.
ad read.
Is that not the most Zach Berman thing you've ever heard
interesting
in your
because
life? Because he's so meticulous.
I have a
and
theory,
so,
though. Can I throw out my
so
theory?
Read the
detailed.
screen. So it's not like your eyes are that great, right?
My
I
eyes are
did
not
like
that
how
good.
he was
Okay.
leaning in
Yeah.
to read.
Yeah.
It was
your
like,
theory?
yeah.
My theory is Zach seems like he's always trying to improve himself. So actually he makes his font even smaller for personal development, for more of a challenge to get better
I
at
think you've
reading
nailed
ads.
it.
I'm going to roll with that one. I
You're,
like
you're
that.
too good at your job. You
I
need
wish that
to
was the case.
create roadblocks for yourself.
Well,
yeah.
thank you. I should make them bigger, yeah.
How's the week going for you guys?
It's fun. It's been crazy. It's been so much fun. Greg is like, I'm just kind of his shadow all week, and he's been amazing. Greg, turn your
We
earphones
got bumped
off.
for Jordan Love, I think.
That was a problem.
I have guest envy with them.
Also,
right?
he's handling all the booking. No, I'm just kidding.
It is tricky. I mean, by this time of week, I'm loving seeing you guys now because you have to be so frazzled and so gone because you have been here the entire week.
This is show 9 of 9.
It's absolutely outrageous, and I did a bad job. A rookie mistake. Booking like days and days in advance, and then suddenly they're like, you have Jordan Love at that time. And I'm like, well, sorry,
yeah,
totally understandable.
Respectfully.
Absolutely.
Definitely could not pass that one up.
Do you, Greg, you have been on the Eagles pretty much all season long.
Yeah.
And then you back. It felt like you backed off in the NFC Championship
stupid.
game. Like, do we need an apology to the Eagles fans?
I've made a lot of apologies this week. I do apologize to the Eagles, the front office, the team. I somehow got convinced just by Bram Weinstein.
Yeah.
Like the forces of his personality went from a 2-score win from the Eagles to just like I saw the vision that he had. He thought they were better, and then I just heard how derogatory you were to all the Washington media. That basically they thought something magical was going to happen, and I fell for it. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Do you guys saw part of what happens often on our show, NFL Daily in real time, as Greg nearly slapped me in the face once again with his Greg gestures?
Oh, accidentally.
Accidentally. Yeah. But also, I think, in part to assert power and put the fear of God into me. Worked. Good job.
I mean, that's a power move. That's a good host.
Yeah.
I think Zach can probably identify.
Yes, the fear of God is in me when it worked with Bo, so I can identify.
I'm back on the Eagles, though.
For this game, you are.
Yeah.
Thank God. I mean, I
for
never
every
left.
game.
Tell us why.
Well, why not? It's what I want to happen, first of all.
Okay.
But that they're more talented.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there's a million different ways why.
It's a coin flip that could go any way. It's a football game. We all know that. But yeah, I mean, it's a better team against a better quarterback. I think if you play this game 10 times, I think the Eagles would win like 6 of them, but I don't know.
I do worry that the Chiefs are much better offensively, right? Like, people still talk about the Chiefs as if they're the Chiefs that you saw all season, and none of that really matters. It's the last 5 weeks, and actually they are the complete juggernaut offensive Chiefs over the last 5 weeks of the season.
But they're still not explosive. They still have to sort of matriculate the ball downfield a little bit.
They're more explosive, though.
Okay.
They have more dimension because Xavier Worthy has been activated into more elements of the route tree, and then also because Hollywood Brown. I mean, you have now these layers that Andy Reid can play with that he really likes to just use, and then he'll show you one thing in the first quarter, and then he'll do something totally different with Xavier Worthy in the third quarter, and I think that is something that does create explosives, unscouted looks, tendency-breaking plays, those types of things. The Chiefs, if you look at their DVOA, their explosive passing success rate, like all of these things, it's terrible. But you also have to throw out so much of it because it's almost like they don't even care for the first half of the season.
They're the only team that you can, like, usually I think it is wrong to say like a team can just flip the switch. They really do use the regular season as sort of like a training ground for the playoffs.
It's just one big petri dish. They're just like fiddling with things.
But they're also healthier. Like, Omenahu changes their 4-man pass rush. Reed wasn't there for much of the season and is a huge upgrade over what they have. Jalen Watson is a huge upgrade on Najee Johnson. They had this weird roster where they keep playing all these guys that really are borderline NFL players because you have so much top shelf talent. And Hollywood Brown changes them. You're saying they're not explosive, but on tape in that AFC Championship game, when Worthy and Brown are coming at you and they're doing some comeback routes, they went from like the slowest team in the entire NFL to like a pretty fast team.
But I think, and also somewhat ironically to our point that we're collectively making, me and Greg both.
Sure.
We're just honking too much right now.
I know, we talk way too much.
This is great.
I think that the way that the Chiefs played earlier in the season is actually better against Vic Fangio's defense. So I'm very curious to see, because that's a death by 1,000 paper cuts defense, and it is earn every inch, take every little piece bit by bit, and how can he basically stay more patient than you. And I think that, this is what's interesting, is because now I do think the Chiefs have these explosive playmakers and a little bit more capability of doing that, particularly when Patrick Mahomes creates out of structure and then extends plays, because now they have the speed to do that. I don't think that's the way to beat the Eagles. I think going back to that like creaky sort of piece-by-piece screen game, let's just like throw little checkdowns and Pat Mahomes scrambles a bit, into the flat. Like, I think that's actually the best way to beat Vic Fangio, who, by the way, can I just say, Vic Fangio is one of my idols.
Okay.
I have been covering
just in terms
him
of,
and
like, the
following
way he
him.
looks at life? You want to?
No, I don't know him as a person.
To be that
I don't know him as a person. I did have an interaction. I was in Miami. I was following the cheat motion around the league last year. I was in Miami when he was in Miami and clearly did not want to be in Miami.
Yes.
And I was asking
Too
him.
hot.
I was asking him if he feels like kind of like me, like a face sweater probably. Yeah, I would just hypothesize on that. So I was asking him if they had now gotten to the full circle point where they were seeing their own cheat motion plays and some of the routes that they would build out of them on their scout team cards as the Miami defense. They're starting to see their own plays almost used against them. And he looked at me for a second that made me want to die. And he goes, yeah, we see a lot of motion. And I was like, oh, I can't even hate it. I love him so much. Like, he's awesome. I've been you guys know this. I've been covering his defense
Yes.
and his structures and how they changed the league for like 10 years at this
ruined
point.
Sean McVay's life, essentially.
Yeah, and I love that. If it's so, I mean, he's like a game breaker in my opinion, and a brain breaker. I mean, he just has that reputation. It's one of the reasons I've been on the Eagles the whole time.
That's why I feel like, and I said this before, the Chiefs offense against the Eagles defense in this game, there's kind of a narrow band of outcomes, I feel like. I don't think either side is going to totally dominate that matchup. I think they're both going to get theirs. It's like they're going to score between 17 and 28 points. The variance in this game is on the other side, where I think the Eagles could score 40 points, and I think they could get totally shut down. I think both of those things are possible.
Yeah.
I want a little more of the
There's the hand.
banter between the two of you. That's what I come to, PHLY.
I know, Zach,
He got too much sleep last night.
Greg,
That's the problem.
Greg
He got a whole
actually
5
came
hours.
to watch the show. Like, we're big fans.
am.
So we actually came to watch you guys
It's
cook.
the best.
So,
It's
go
the
ahead.
best two-man comedy.
That's what we call it.
The PHLY listeners don't know how lucky they are to
we
have
love
the
you guys.
the 1-2 punch of the.
But it only works because Zach doesn't know the show that he's on.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
I love this show
it's
here.
the
Exactly.
Sisyphean thing for him
Yeah.
to try to crawl out to a different show
Like, this
that
is-
he will never get to.
This is so blissful for me right now. We're talking about the game. You have all these great
I think
points.
he took a little nap just
We're
now.
not talking about bidets. We're not talking about peeing habits. Like, this is.
Do you guys remember
this
your
is-
first kiss?
Of course.
I don't think I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
definitely.
see. There's just
Where
been so
were you?
many. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't remember the make of the car, but it was like
Oh,
it was
car
it was
kit.
like
What
it was like
oh, I thought you were going
Wow.
somewhere totally different with that.
I-
Holy crap. I was like, Greg.
I was a freshman in high school,
Okay.
and she was a junior and drove, and
Wow.
sort of was taking
Look
advantage
at
of me in
you.
hindsight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Spicy.
Wow.
He was early at it.
I didn't think
He was actually there for Julia's first kiss to spin the bottle. So
I didn't think the spin the bottle counted though, because that's an unearned kiss. Okay, so 6th grade was the first. If we count,
I mean, you spun the bottle,
yeah, but it's like a requirement of the game, right? So that's unearned.
Playing by the rules.
Yeah. So the first earned kiss was 6th grade.
Okay.
The unearned kiss, yeah. Then we'll go 5th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jordan, I want to ask you about Saquon, and one thing that we've been talking about for a while is that this season has been sort of a nice example of how situation matters so much for a player. And it's not just Saquon, it's Zach Baun getting out of New Orleans and getting to be a linebacker for Vic Fangio. It's Mekhi Becton getting out of the Jets and getting to play next to Lane Johnson and Cam Jurgens. And Saquon going from a very good running back to now everybody knows that he's the best running back in the league, right? And having covered teams as much as you have, are there guys who you think of who are like, man, if only he had been in a different situation, I can't imagine the career he would have had.
You mean John Matthew Stafford?
Oh, that's great.
right.
You covered
Yeah.
that. That's a good point.
That was my second Super Bowl that I covered. Actually, somewhat ironically, I covered the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl as well. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. Yeah. It is interesting because I covered Saquon at Penn State.
Okay.
That was my first real beat job, was covering
Center Daily Times.
Center
right?
Daily
I remember.
Zach!
Yeah. I
Oh my
remember reading that,
God!
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, name a story
Sorry,
you've
new
written.
favorite.
He has read it.
New
I've
favorite.
I've read every
Yeah.
story you've ever written. Yeah,
Oh,
trust me.
Zach!
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
actually going to cry.
Yes.
That actually came off weird.
It sounds sweet, but it also goes for like every reporter here.
Yes. That is
Especially
true.
like
Oh
the
my
cold,
God.
icy way he said it.
I'm not listening to anybody
I've got
talk
them.
right
I've
now.
got them all like poster boarded around my garage.
He actually he throws knives. He throws knives at. He printed out the Alec Holloway interview for play callers, and he throws knives at it before he goes to bed.
Yeah.
No, one of my problems.
It started as an appreciation, and as you started getting more and more Eagles people, it grew to hatred.
No, as an aside, one of these social things I've needed to learn is when someone says "nice to meet you," not to correct them, like not to be like I have to say, yeah, it's nice to meet you. I can't be like, we actually met in an elevator when you were the beat writer for the Kansas City Chiefs, and So I just got to roll with it. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Yeah.
Nice to see you is the move everyone does at the Super Bowl now.
Yes.
Yeah, but everyone knows the trick, so it's like it's kind of.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
I forgot the question.
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, it's just
Do you
cool.
remember the lead of any of those stories?
Can tell you he's got the dateline down, though.
Yeah.
He knows the paper.
All right,
it had its own printing press. It was wild.
That's
it was
cool.
very cool. It's cool because he's been that dude, right?
Yeah.
But it is so wonderful to see him being expressed to his full potential, right? And I think that they're using him in so many ways that the Giants should have been using him for a long time, inclusive to just some of the dimension that they have in their run game. But also, one of the things I loved about the way that they beat the Commanders was you could tell that the Commanders had really thought carefully about especially their pressure strategy against Jalen Hurts. And they were going to try to send very calculated and specific blitzes. They were going to pull that lever at just the right time. And a lot of it was sending Frankie Louvu to blitz whenever Saquon Barkley was not on the field, and because they knew what he's capable of in pass pro. And I liked what Kellen Moore did. And I have criticized Kellen Moore a lot because I don't think that when your quarterback has a hurt knee, you should drop him 100 feet into the end zone.
You and I both, yep.
But I digress. But I also think
First criticism of the Eagles this year.
Proud of you, Zach.
That's not true.
He literally wrote the book on the Eagles, guys.
The Eagles kind of skated about that the end of that first half of that game, which the Rams game, which is very strange too.
And I'll say this, like what I liked about what Kellen did in that game was that you could see he was adjusting on the fly, because that lead quarterback draw that they ran, Saquon Barkley was feinting as if he was just going to pick up a pressure in pass pro. And then he shot the gap, and then Jalen Hurts just runs behind him. And I thought that when you take someone who is capable of being Saquon, first of all, and all the things he can do, but then you manipulate different looks, and then you use some of those scouted looks and then create something unscouted. And I just think that he is a player who can do everything in that way. I'm really happy for him because he's deserved this for a long time.
You know, I'm going to give Nick Wright credit here. I know our listeners won't like when I do that. He brought up a good point, I thought, yesterday, which was that when we bring up the way James Cook played 2 weeks ago, a lot of that was the Chiefs were like, that's fine if James Cook beats us, right? Josh Allen can't beat us. The inverse is probably going to be the case. The Chiefs are going to be focused on Saquon, and it's like, let Jalen beat us. Do you think Jalen can beat them?
Yes, because weirdly, like the best mismatch in this game is like all the Chiefs players that haven't gotten mentioned all week. Like Jaden Hicks, has he come up much? Brian Cook, Jalen Watson, like. When you have Devonta or Dallas Goedert or A.J. Brown, whenever they get those matchups, whether it's zone or man against those guys, like that is a mismatch.
Sure.
And they've shown they can take advantage of those. So if they're daring them to do it, I think they'll be a little anxious about that because he was the best quarterback on the field 2 years ago in the Super Bowl.
There's the Greg hand again.
That was a preseason pick for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. Now I feel bad. I really have been annoyed that I picked against them.
I knew that was going to bother you.
We're annoyed too.
Let's get you guys on the record with your predictions.
Okay. I had it 32-29, but it was kind of like they're up by 2 scores, and then the Chiefs score late. So it's less about having to like make smart decisions at the end, but maybe you got to get one first down at the end, and that's where Saquon
That's what they got him for. How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I have been picking 24-21 Eagles. I've been on the Eagles all year. They've been one of my favorite teams to follow, not just because I really, really like you guys, but also because I like how messy they've been. And I like how it's something different every week, but somehow
they played one good game all year.
But somehow it all works, and it works in ways that I just think the collective is so strong when it's on. And you could really see that a couple weeks ago. But even when the collective is like upset about something, or the head coach is upset about something and letting people know about that, or there's different discrepancies in how they attack people or how they defend people. Like, it always works. And I just think that's a really, really damn good football team.
Well, we thank you for watching on Fast. Check out the rest of this episode on allphly.com. Greg Rosenthal, Jordan Rodriguez, thank you so much. The NFL Daily Podcast. We look forward to the free agent list from Greg this offseason.
Yes.
I'm curious how high Jordan's going to be on that list.
Jordan Rodriguez.
Ooh,
oh.
Number one, let's
Very
go.
high. Very high.
Oh, I love this man.
I mean,
oh,
we'll try
man.
to keep her off that list,
Yeah,
the signing before that even gets to the far.
All right, we'll see you guys around. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bo and Zach. Love
We're going to
you.
bring Deniz
Appreciate
and Jamie back to close out this bad boy and a couple more super chats to get through. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. How many do we have here, Julia?
As are you.
5. Wow.
5. Oh, I appreciate
Rich Bobby
that.
says we
you guys are
love and
funding our trip
appreciate
here.
ZB. Thanks for all the coverage this week, pal.
Rich, I'm very grateful you say that because there are like 3 extra stories in my notebook that I haven't been able to get to, and it has literally, it has kept me up at night that I haven't been able to get to all these stories, and my show notes, like I haven't been thrilled with all the shows, so I appreciate you saying that. I really do, Rich. Thanks for your loyalty.
I just showed your super chat to Jordan. It says, it's Jordan, my girl. Hope you are enjoying New Orleans. So that's very nice. Conan says, a crossover between 2 of my favorite shows. What a way to end the week. Those are the only ones I can see for now. All right.
I've heard the Wi-Fi isn't good.
Oh, my God. It's brutal.
It is so bad, and it's just pathetic. Roger Goodell, what are we doing, dude?
Is that not impacting the
We're
They're
hardwired,
hardwired, yeah.
but you have to pay for the hardwire.
You think that's why you think they're suppressing the Wi-Fi so that you pay for the hardwire?
Probably.
That makes
Everything's
sense.
a scam, right?
Classic Roger.
Yeah.
Classic Roger.
I don't think Roger cares about the
Classic
media
Roger.
house or the media.
Roger was running that
cares about
meeting
the money.
solo. They were like,
Yeah. Somebody told him, hey, I got a good idea to make us more money, and he said, great.
Yeah.
he didn't listen to the rest of
Make
it.
it worse for the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need
All right.
to value my, $57 million he makes a year?
Yeah, underpaid.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
All right. Now, Julia and Chris have to get going to the airport, so we gotta wrap this bad boy up in a minute.
I will be joining them as well. I got a little bit of a later flight. I already got delayed once, which is great. So airport beers, I think, are in my future.
It's a good airport to get delayed in.
Why?
I got delayed here back in October or September.
How many beignets did you eat while you were?
I didn't. I'm trying to be careful with that.
I was going to say, because that's
Yeah, no. It's just they redid the airport in the past 3 years, and so there's more. It's more conducive airport for waiting than it used to be.
And the food options are really good, which so many good food cities, the airport's terrible.
Yeah.
Here, they do a great job representing the
I will
food.
say Philadelphia has gotten a lot better in the last 2 years with the food options as well.
Yeah,
Not Terminal A so much.
Well, yes, B and C have upgraded,
Yeah.
I had Chickies and Pete's chicken tenders for breakfast. For
Nice.
example,
I've done that
this
before.
morning. Got a big thing of fries.
What's
That's
the
all
best
I've
thing
eaten
you
today.
ate this week, Jamie?
It probably is between the steak from N7 the other night
That was a good spot.
Yeah.
and the brisket from Koshan.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had the worst cheeseburger of my life last night. So highs and lows, peaks and valleys.
Okay. Yeah, man, it's tough. You think you think cheeseburger is relatively safe for a floor. You think, at least it's going to be edible.
Yeah.
Was it a
That's
cheeseburger
brutal.
that was designed for a higher level of alcohol consumption before?
Yeah, and then they
That's
just
the-
charred
that's the-
it, and I feel like the guy stomped on it with his. It was just not good. But I ate it because I was starving.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm excited about going out to dinner tonight. If you guys
What do you have lined
the
up?
energy for it.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how the day goes. No promises.
You should get the charbroiled oysters if you have.
There's a very high fee for no shows at this place, and we're on a group chat, and the only person replying to the group chat is Sheil. Sheil's like, yeah, keep it, like great, and so and meanwhile, nothing from these guys, and so it's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm not at Friday yet. Like
It's gonna be.
Yeah, I have no time to respond to my wife.
I'm not complaining that you're not responding. It makes sense that you're not responding. It's just that Sheil went ahead with the go ahead, keep the reservation, right? And so now there's it's going to be like me and Sheil pretending to be 6 people.
my kids go to bed. No, my kids go to bed at 7 and back home, right?
Wow,
and
that's a good
yeah,
bedtime.
and I haven't Emily's like, you haven't FaceTimed the kids to say goodnight. I'm like, we're on our show at 6, right? there's no time. So, yeah, I'm going to try to be there tonight, but there's a few different things I'm going through.
No, I totally understand.
Sean Wolford says one thing that isn't talked about enough. Eagles sucked in the first quarter on offense throughout the season. Playoffs, touchdowns on all 3 of their first drives. Keep it up.
Ooh, I like that point.
It's a great time to save the regression to the mean right there. Yeah.
Julie has also slacked me the other super chats here. Rob says, is there a better symmetry to end this postseason than parading down a snow-filled Broad Street?
Oh, wow.
Snow-quan!
Yeah, so real quick, though, like, obviously, we've all seen that Bill Belichick speech before the Super Bowl in 2004 when the parade
By the way, I
plans
saw you looking at the pics of Bill and his girl last night.
She was wearing a ring.
It was on your phone.
It came up on the feed.
Oh, I saw that too. Yeah.
It came up on the feed. But
I don't know. It was on there for a while.
I wasn't active.
I thought so too. Yeah.
During the whole
Man, you
ad
weren't
read.
just scrolling. You stopped.
Yeah, there was a stop there. Yeah.
You know what? Someone emailed me. You don't have to respond to everything, okay? As I was saying, I forget. Oh yeah.
Bill Belichick.
So the Eagles obviously don't release the parade route. So I know I've received messages from fans saying if they win, what would happen because of the snow? Would they push it back a week? This is what I would say. Those players they want to get out of Philly. It's been a long season, so I can't see them pushing it back a week. I don't know what they would do, but I am.
Well, meteorologists are wrong a lot.
Yeah,
so
it was Thursday last time, so if they're willing to wait until Thursday, they should have a day that works. But
Musa says the NFLPA supports the LCMC nurse union strike. Do you think this show of solidarity for labor militancy favors the Eagles since we are a union town?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Go Birds.
All right. Wait, guys, predictions?
Oh, there's another one. Yes, let's get to predictions. Jamie, give us how you're feeling.
I watched the Saquon Barkley voicemail from his daughter this morning, and I am now convinced that the Birds are going to win by 45 points. So let's go with 52-8. Did I do the math right?
No, you missed by one.
I missed by one. It's been a long week. Right in front of the professor, too. How embarrassing.
Okay.
Grace says, sending Jake Elliott good vibes. We love you. Shake it off and stay away from the massage parlors.
That's a good point.
There you go.
Jake gave me a Marion. I was wearing Marion at Monday night, and he came up to me and he goes, Marion, nice. And that was it.
What is he, ex-caveman?
Look at that. Good kinship there.
Yeah.
He's a good golfer.
He's apparently a great golfer,
good.
It's very strange to me that this many people are interested in like a punter screaming. It's like just like shocking.
You got a prediction?
Zach, would you like to go with your prediction?
Yeah, I've been saying it for the past 2 weeks. The Chiefs deserve a world of respect. They're a 15-win team. They have the best quarterback in the NFL. I think the best quarterback in NFL history. Their coach is outstanding. They know, they're a team where you can say they know how to win. It's not an accident. You don't win 15 games by accident. I agree with what Greg Rosenthal said. I think they're more talented than people are giving them credit for. But I think the Eagles are more talented, too. I think the Eagles are the better team. I think the Eagles are better on both lines of scrimmage. I think if I can give some observations, I think the Eagles have been loose this week. This is not a happy-to-be-here team.
Vinny said locked in. That was his read.
Yeah, this is a team that's like ready, that expected to be here, that expects to win this game. They are not underdogs. I know people feel like disrespected by the ESPN people picking.
No, they flip-flopped. The ESPN crew this morning was all Eagles.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, like these
playing both sides.
The same people?
Yeah.
This Eagles team, my sense is like they are confident. I think it's going to be a close game. I am predicting Eagles 28, Chiefs 27.
Wow.
And the Chiefs miss a field goal late in the game for the Eagles to keep the lead.
Wow, the butt cut.
Sure.
Yeah. Least likable kicker punter combo in NFL history?
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. Normally you just don't care about those guys.
I don't know how many there are. Yeah. You got one?
Professor.
I did not come here to lose, and I don't like this narrative that the Chiefs are going for the three-peat and the Eagles are in their way. Like, that's just not what this is. Like, this is the Eagles season. It's the Eagles Super Bowl to win. The Eagles are the better team. Everything's been set up for this to happen, and the Chiefs are in the way. And so as long as this Eagles team plays the way it has all year, and as long as there aren't random bounces here and there, I think this should be a more comfortable win than 28-27. I don't think it will come down to the last drive.
I don't want it to be a one-score game at the end with Patrick Mahomes and the ball in his hand. So please be up 2 scores.
Yeah, and I mean, look, this Eagles defense, the one thing that hasn't gone great are some of those last drives.
Yeah.
Right? We saw against Atlanta, we saw against Washington. I mean, those
fall into
are
that
2 of the 3
prevent.
losses were on a last-minute drive where Fangio got up maybe a little bit conservative, and we saw also almost blowing the lead against the Rams at the end. So
That's how I see it going. I see it going very similarly to the Rams game. I think the Eagles will extend a lead to 2 scores late in the fourth quarter with about, let's call it, 4.5 minutes left. Patrick Mahomes gets the ball, and they have their best drive of the game. So, like, super quick touchdown drive. Everybody's getting very tight. It's a 3-point game, and it's a very classic situation where the Eagles need 1 first down to win the game. And if they give it up, the Chiefs are going to go down and win the game. And it's going to be 2nd down. They're loading the box. They're trying to, ice their timeouts. And Saquon is going to bust it for a big run and slide down.
There you go.
And not go for the touchdown.
Like everyone was telling him to do in the snow.
And that
which
is
in
going to be the
hindsight-
end of the game. The Eagles are going to win this game.
Wow.
30-27. There you go.
We'll take that.
All right. What a week!
The one thing I know is I will be an emotional wreck. When
Oh.
I see BG out there, I'm going to be crying. When the game starts, I'm going to be crying. I'm going to be like Sirianni during the anthem the whole time. And then hopefully it'll
not
be
Sirianni, though, because
That's
that would lose
right
us a super point. Yeah.
yes. Hopefully it'll be tears of joy at the end.
All right.
Sorry.
Thank
Close us
you
out here.
to all of you for. I believe we have one more super chat actually before I close this out. Grace. Oh no, we got that one. Sirianni's buzz cut. The butt cut says Deniz vlog on his Super Bowl seat setup. One of those GQ style. What's in my bag? Feed the sicko parasocial relationships. Also nice hat. And I be me every day, says 55-7. Also, as we close this show, people have been asking for meetup information. We're going to try to do something tomorrow at like 5 o'clock, but we don't have a location yet. You've been scouting.
Yeah, the place
potential
we said
possibilities.
is definitely booked.
Yeah.
So there's
So-
a taco place. We're going to tweet it out.
Stay tuned to
We'll all tweet it out.
the Twitters and the
Before
blue
Bo
skies.
brings us in, I just want to say, too, thank you so much to the audience. Thank you to all the readers, the listeners, the viewers. There's a lot that's gone on to make this week happen, and we're grateful to be here.
Like and subscribe, thumbs up for good luck for the birds. And, yes, Zach Sediments, thank you.
Kickoff show on Sunday. Halftime show on Sunday. Post-game show on Sunday. Win or lose. Should be an awesome atmosphere. It's going to be Jamie, Rich, Fran, Vinny Curry, who dominated this week. Thanks to Vinny. Thanks to Fran. Thanks to Chris behind the scenes. Julia for making it all happen. Jamie for getting us guests and hanging out as well. Les Bowen. Zach Berman, most of all, Brandon Chubb. We thank all of you for watching and listening this week. We will see you on Sunday. And as always, we love you.